All right. Good morning, everybody. Let me get this back to normal. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and it is November 23rd, 2022. Happy Wednesday. It will be the last Engineering the Markets for this week, as we are off from the markets themselves tomorrow. And of course, on Friday, no Engineering the Markets as usual. So short week for this particular segment. And we were also just having lower volume, lower volatility in the overall equities marketplace. There's certainly been some focused areas that are worth trading. And we did see a little bit of a bullish drift type of trend yesterday, fairly normal type of occurrence on lower volume sessions. But additionally, there are some technical structures that were achieved. And these are just the ones that we've been identifying day in and day out. So as always, don't be surprised by targets being met. The technical nature and the participation ranges of the market tend to be clearly achieved back and forth over time. So as far as the SPX is concerned this week, we do have another probably half range of expected move for the rest of the week. Remember, we're looking at a weekly expected move of about $72. And based on Friday's close of about 39.65, if we're looking bullish, it's about 40.37. If we're looking bearish, about 38.93. Short term, and maybe looking into yesterday's session, the SPX and most of the equivalent type products were able to rally to that all-important 4,000/400 level. We know that this is a very important spot for the SPY. And then, of course, the gravitational nature of psychological prices leading to some of that bullish drift and kind of helping the market identify the topside target on yesterday's trade. So if we look at the SPY, we could see that was, of course, achieved at the end of the session as well. A lot of traders were able to capitalize on that throughout the day. And we even had some butterfly trade ideas from last week. Remember, these targets are still achievable on Tuesday, Wednesday type sessions because of the new 0 data expiration series option strategies. And targeting these prices are often the best levels to go for an end of session close. So first things first, why was that price important? Not just the psychological nature of it, but also the fact that it is the balance range high that we've identified over the past week and a half. Remember, balance ranges work very simply in regards to how they're structured from a technical sense. Usually you're going to trade in between the highs and the lows. But if you get breaches, there's really only 2 or 3 characteristics that can happen. You look outside of a balance range and come back in, at which point you often target the opposite side. And that's when you know where these lows and highs are established. Same thing here. You look below, you come back in, and then you often target the opposite side. Once again, doesn't have to occur immediately, but it's just showcasing that anytime you have a failed breakout on either side of a balance range, the more likely scenario is that the next move is more likely to achieve the opposite side of the balance range. This is a very well understood market profile characteristic, and usually it's derived from market participants who are putting their risk in this range, and that risk is often getting tested back and forth by price. So For our purposes, that is, of course, a very viable trade opportunity. So that's one reason, to kind of think about these levels. It's one reason to understand how a daily trend can turn into a really big opportunity. And then, of course, just looking at stocks in play, trying to find which stocks are providing that opportunity if you are long or short on the session. Some stocks that were interesting yesterday, just to kind of highlight some renewed bullish activity. We saw semiconductor stocks get a bit of a nice trending day. Excuse me. They started the session characteristically selling, but a lot of the morning range was reversed. And usually when we see a hourly kind of range or just the morning session with a full reversal, that can often set up things like swing trade types of setups along with trending sessions. So a lot of traders were capitalizing on that. And while it wasn't necessarily all semiconductors, there was that relative strength, of course, in stocks like NVIDIA, which had a very strong intraday session to the upside. We're even seeing a bit of a gap out of yesterday's range to another fib target. Remember, this is a way to kind of project some of the possible targets for trades that are in play. You're going to be looking for kind of that confluence of levels. It's usually the 61.8, given that this retracement was 61.8% of the previous rally. So it's a lot of fib reflection, and usually it's retracement upon retracement until you get an extension. Same with the likes of AMD rallying to about 75 a share. And then, of course, some more notable names that caught some of that rally. Stocks like MU still leading on the session, but obviously giving back more on previous breakouts. So, all right. So semis have been in focus, at least as of yesterday. Part of the reason, in my opinion, we've been seeing yields come off more recently. That's given the market some rationale as to kind of engage with higher growth type names. Semiconductors tend to be more cyclical, and therefore their growth is heavily tied to economic conditions. What's interesting about this is while yields have been coming down, and you can look at some of the long-term yields coming off of their highs from late October, the yield curve itself on a lot of these has been steepening. And when I say yield curve, more specifically, I'm talking about a lot of the shorter term yields. Even something as low as a monthly, so like a 30-day treasury bill, I think it is, not note, but bill. Like the shortest legs of the treasury offerings, they're yielding right now about 3.87% as of this morning. And you look at something like a 10-year, where the yield is also coming off, but the percentage difference here is negative. You're actually getting a higher yield in your 1 month comparative to your 10-year. It's a very rare yield inversion to have one of the shortest dated yields flipping the 10-year. And as we know, a lot of the more notable yield curves are deeply negative right now. The 10 and the 1 actually hitting a 1% yield difference, which is extremely steep. So a 1 year yielding about 4.8 compared to your 10-year, that 3.75. The one that most people refer to, of course, is the 2 and 10. It's kind of your historical and more referred to yield curve. Seeing inverted levels that haven't been seen since pretty much, I think the first time this happened was late 1977 or 78, I believe. And then, of course, we stayed inverted for a while as we hit 2 recessionary periods as we got into 1980. So economic conditions notwithstanding, we're seeing some short-term benefit to yields dropping. But remember that the outlook by the inversion of certain yields is still recessionary in nature. It's projecting that we're coming to harder times in the next couple of years. So as always, though, we're looking for either that short to medium term trade and preparing for longer term ramifications. Let's see. So given it's Wednesday, given there isn't really a session tomorrow, things are kind of light as far as what to watch out for this morning and throughout the day. There are a few data items to pay attention to. I have in the title the FOMC minutes, which are coming out at 2 o'clock market time. Let's see if I can get this arrow. There we go. So FOMC minutes at 2. And then, of course, jobless claims. That one's going to be a bit more short-term and more volatile, something that might be a little bit of a trade opportunity. That should be occurring as soon as this session's over. So if you do see some volume enter into the market, it would likely be from jobless claims. There isn't really too much else today to focus in on, albeit there is some other data being released. Most of these are a bit more high-level items, and I don't see often the market responding to them immediately. There might be more of a ramification later, but as far as something that's going to move price as soon as it comes out, these tend to be lower on the list. So keep those in mind. And for those unfamiliar, FOMC minutes are not quite the same impact as the FOMC meeting and statement, which is what we often refer to as the Fed Day. Remember, the difference here is what's actually being released by the FOMC. So on November 1st and 2nd, the federal head representatives were in their meetings, basically squirreled away for a couple of days. They provide a statement on that Wednesday, and that's when our Florida workshop occurred for bearable traders. We get this data drop, which tells the market what's being considered for the rate hike, along with this bullet list of other actions in regards to their balance sheet, some of their treasury and mortgage-backed security holdings, and just some additional repo rates adjustments. All that's been decided. So that occurred on November 2nd. Oops, closed out the website. Bring that back. Okay. Additionally, there's a press conference, and that's where we have Jerome Powell often answering questions along with providing some clarity. The thing that comes out today is more along the lines of the actual minutes, which, as you can see, are not released yet. And if you're looking back historically at maybe like the September meetings, which we got the minutes 2 weeks after, these are going to be documents that define the decisions already made and provide additional clarity as to the context of those decisions. So it's a bit more verbose of an outline as to the why certain things are occurring, what sort of considerations have taken effect since the last meeting, anything macro, if there is some sort of conflict or adjustment to international currency or just some valuation considerations there. All of that's going to be covered here. What it doesn't indicate is any changes. So what you're going to notice is the bullet point list of effective direct directions, basically, those are going to be equivalent to what was released during the statement. So really, there's no significant changes here. You're just getting more information, and the market itself is getting more information about why these decisions were made. So for anyone who thinks FOMC minutes are impactful, for the most part, the market knows the information. That additional clarity might provide a little bit more of a trade, but all in all, the impact was seen. It already occurred, and most of the resulting trend or directional bias has been a result of what occurred back on the FOMC release, like the actual day. So keep all that in mind, and if you're ever curious of where this documentation lives, go to the Federal Reserve website. There is a calendar section, and I believe if you're under monetary policy, meeting calendars and information would be the section to look up. Last but not least, and this is where I'm not quite as sure how often they release this information. You see this last section for projection materials. This often comes out, I thought it was every single meeting, but it might be every other meeting. And this is where you're going to get a lot of the dot plots and data overviews and projections for how things are looking out into the following years. So, whenever the Federal Reserve talks about some of the data-driven decisions, these are the projections that they're using. They kind of see how this probability model shapes out over time, and they use that to somewhat drive their decision as well. Obviously, this is more for the data-minded, but you can look at this information and get a sense of what data do they have and what are they driving their decision based off of. So lots of kind of like projection ranges and probability models baked into this document. So enough about the Fed. I think now that we're kind of halfway through the session, I'll really just kind of open it up to questions at this point. It's kind of our last session for the week. I don't have a lot more to cover this week. If you want to look at a particular ticker, maybe talk through some short-term trade opportunity today. Given it's a shorter week, I don't think a lot of people are putting on swing risk over the holidays, but if you are, there are a few assets that might perform over the next couple of weeks. Other than that, I think we just had two earnings, JWN and Deere. So both of them reported. JWN about a $3 expected move, and Deere about an $18 expected move. So feel free to use that information as needed. So if you have a question, just go ahead and post it in the chat room, and then I'll look at YouTube as well in the last segment. How come you guys don't talk about ETF? We do talk about ETF. The SPY itself is an ETF. SMH is an ETF. I used this one this morning. And if you're looking at things like sector performance, a lot of us are using the sector ETFs. These are all the S&P sectors broken down into different ETFs that are tradable. There are some traders who use the leverage ETFs. So whether you're looking at just the representative ETF, SOX, or you can do a SOX L, which is a 3X long semi. You can do a SOX S, which is a 3X short semi. These are all tradable as well. And you can see that their volatility is reflective of the underlying relative to what they're trying to track. So if you pull up like SOX, for example, as a comparative study, what you'll notice here is how this ETF works is as the SOX ETF is going down, this ETF is rising. It's the 3X Bear. It's not really showing the name. If you get a rally, this thing will collapse. And remember, because it's 3X in leverage, the collapses tend to be faster, along with the rallies. So everything is scaled relative to that performance. But it's also a little bit decaying if you're holding for longer than a period of a day. So we certainly do talk about ETFs on both this show and within the trade chat room. So there's a lot of noise on Fed pivot for December. What is your take on the Fed pivot and potential rally in case numbers come in better than expected? First things first, define what do you mean by Fed pivot. The idea of a true pivot is that the Fed goes from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. Going from a 75-point rate hike to a 50 basis point rate hike is not, to me, a pivot. What that is either a slow, so let's say they're not as aggressively hawkish on their rate hikes meeting to meeting, or you could call it some sort of pause if they were to completely reduce rate hikes down to zero. That still would not be a pivot because they're not reducing rates. Instead, they're just no longer hiking them as aggressively. So in my opinion, the word pivot is badly placed. It doesn't mean what people are assuming. What the market is expecting for the next meeting is that the Fed will be slowing, aka the likelihood of a 75-point rate hike is 1/4 versus the likelihood of a 50 basis point hike. This is 50 BPS, and this is 75 BPS is 3/4. So same percentages right here. I like to draw over things because I'm moving fast. So basically, part of your question is the pivot. The Fed is not pivoting right now. There is no indication that the Fed will pivot because that would be a complete 180 reversal of what they're doing, which is quantitative tightening. Are they potentially slowing as of this meeting coming up? And based on the probability model, yes, there is a higher likelihood that the Fed is slowing their rate hikes. But that's in line with what their expectation is for end of year rates. You know, the probability that they're trying to get to about a 5% yield. And they're trying to hit those objectives somewhere mid next year. So most people are kind of thinking by mid-year of next year, we'll be at the 5% rates. And right now we are right here. Yeah, we're in this range right now. So as far as that, you know, probability, this is what the market thinks. And I think we've gotten some numbers that support the slowing. It doesn't mean that the Fed is doing anything out of character because we've heard discussions very early this year that they were looking at about a 4.5% to 5% Fed fund rate by the end of this quantitative cycle. AKA, we just didn't know how fast they were going to get to that value, but based on current projections, they're looking to get there as early as March of 2023 and as late as, I think it was September of 2023, but they're still getting to those values eventually. And they would need to see significant trend changes in inflationary readings and in unemployment numbers to deviate from that. So is that a comparison to Soxel? I brought up SOX X. So I wasn't looking at the long and the short leverage together. I was looking at the normal versus the short. Remember, if you look at the long and the short together, they're going to be completely inverse of each other. Instead, what I was looking at was the inverse, but their magnitude was different. So if I bring up SOX L, for example, these are completely inverse of each other. And while it might not look like the readings are quite the same, technically the percentage magnitude should be equivalent, at least on relative basis. So these declines here of about 30% should be matching some of the rallies here from a, I'm trying to remember how that works, from a, I think it's from a price perspective. But these technically are inverse of each other, so they should be inversely correlated completely. The one thing I'm not sure about is how the decay factors into that, but I would think that over just a month period, it wouldn't be that impactful. That percentage difference was worth looking into, but percentage declines are never going to be over 100. So this should be a relative drawdown versus a relative increase. Okay, so a couple questions on YouTube, Tesla. Let's quickly look at this one. I'm assuming short-term Safarin. So we'll look at kind of what's going on recently. There has been a decline in Tesla. Tesla is relatively weak. I think this morning we have some EV Cybertruck kind of numbers. To me, I don't really care what the news is, but the stock is rallying from it. Technicals on the daily tell me that the oversold bounce is underway. We made a fresh low on Tesla, and then it's immediately starting to bounce, which tells me also that there's some divergence going on. And what this means is from a price, relative price perspective, you're going to be seeing things like a falling wedge. So what this is just every time we make fresh lows, the bounces occur a little bit quicker, and oftentimes the bounces are smaller in magnitude. We still make fresh lows on the next swing, but then of course a bounce underway as of this morning. So short term, I'd be looking to achieve the falling wedge target of approximately 178 to 180. And what this does is it looks like it's going to counter a lot of the selling from 2 sessions ago. Big picture, the selling from 2 sessions ago was not the sell swing. The sell swing was up here. Tesla rose and then started to fall and just so happened to make a fresh low recently. So the pattern is one of a falling wedge. It's divergent. So I definitely think Tesla is one of those candidates to maybe look a little bullish this session. Ideally, we rallied to the top, but it's still a very weak relative stock overall. Impact on commodities. I think there's been a lot of shift back into commodity trades. Dollar weakness is driving a lot of that. You're talking gold and silver. Definitely one trick trade. Look at dollar and gold correlation. They're pretty heavily inversely correlated. And when you're modeling what to expect on the next move, for example, gold pulling back into possible support, what you'd want to see to kind of trigger that trade is the dollar not bouncing. So this bounce should be correlating with the dollar, or sorry, gold pulling back. If the dollar makes a new low, gold should be making new highs. And that's kind of the idea. You get these big extensions that are inverse of each other. So that's driving a lot of the gold trade. It's also affecting silver, but I think the model is much better suited for gold. Silver just tends to move a little faster on the bullish sessions. It had like a 24% gain more recently versus gold, which I think only gained about like 14%. No, 10. Yeah, only 10%. So the candles look better, but technically the percentage is higher in silver. So thank you, Rosie. UNH. Let's look at that one real quick. Still liking the healthcare theme here. We did see a sell swing in UNH recently. Want to be a little careful here if we do decide to break trend. Don't just assume this is a well-protected name, even though it is relatively strong. But the overall trend here supports the idea that pullbacks are bought. So I'm definitely looking for continuation for the time being, with the understanding that every pullback has to make a higher low. The trend has to remain in order for this to be valid. And really what we're trying to achieve here is something akin to that, which, as long as it keeps doing that, the likelihood is to keep pushing towards all-time highs. So, all right, we should be getting jobless claims. I'm going to go ahead and drop here. So thanks, everybody. Have a great holiday. See y'all next week. And obviously trade safe today and Friday. Remember, we're closed tomorrow, and Friday is about a half day-ish. And we'll talk more next week. So stay tuned, and stay tuned for pre-market prep.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys are having had a great day yesterday. Sorry for the delay, guys. Trying to get my camera working, but something's up with it. I'll keep trying as we get a little break here, but I don't want to hold up the show any longer to get going here. So let's take a look at what we have here on our gap. Good morning, Nor. How are you doing today? Just saw you
Hey, good
popped on
morning,
there.
brother. I'm doing all right. How are you?
I am good. Hold on. You sound really low on my end. Let me make sure it's not me.
Hello.
Hold on a second. Let me see. Try now.
Good morning.
Oh yeah, perfect. All right, the volume on my end, so we're good. Um, so yeah, good morning, Norm. How was your day yesterday? Hope everything was good.
Yeah, doing all right. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good.
Good.
Um, guys, let's take a look at our gap risk list from this morning as we get started. Jared went through some of the expectations for today and some of the macro type ideas and some of the stuff that's really in play that really had like earnings or news. Which again, you can see this list reminds me a little bit of when things were not as crazy. It's actually somewhat manageable compared to what we usually get. So it kind of tells you what kind of day it's going to be
Yeah, but
today.
it's at the same time, it's one of the worst trading days of the year.
Right,
So
right. Yeah, no, when I mean manageable, I'm not even talking about quality, just talking about size, the number of things, right? It's just we're used to seeing so much on both sides here. Um, and looking at it quickly too, a lot of the Chinese tickers on the upside of things, and only JWN, which I believe is Nordstrom
yeah.
retailer. So they're down this morning quite a bit there. So we'll look into that. Yesterday's list, guys. Let's go over a few of the stuff that was in play. We won't spend too much time on it. We had Axie on the deck here, and Axie. This is why Axie is so hard to predict what's going to happen. But yesterday they had an amazing pre-market activity, and it actually played out really well into the trading day. So again, normally their trading activity in the pre-market is very dry, not a whole lot going on. But yesterday they had plenty of stuff happening, and you can see how well this transfer into the trading day. So if you're watching Oxy, definitely some great opportunities there. A couple of high of day breakouts, some ABCD patterns. You didn't have a great 5 minute opening range breakout, but there was a lot on here. And just the continuation that you got was really nice. Here was PBR, and I traded this yesterday. I reminded myself, why this ticker is so difficult to trade. The price action was brutal. The entire action happened in the pre-market. Nothing left as far as the morning side of things, just up and down action, not really getting anywhere. Not much happening there. Zoom was wild yesterday, man, and this is why you got to be careful with this one. Popped up to 76.50, then dropped all the way down to 72. I mean, in a matter of like 15-10 minutes, right? So very aggressive action. You had to be really quick with this one. Reminded me a little bit when there were a higher price ticker and we're trading that wild. From there, it did build a nice base, got to the VWAP, and never really looked back. Held on to the 9 moving average and shot up pretty nice there on Zoom. We also had Amazon, right? We start getting to our usual suspect, which was an amazing opening range breakdown. Alongside, there was another one too. I believe it was Disney. Yeah, both of these broke down really nice at the market open, gave you a continuation. And this is kind of where we like to watch are these usual suspect. At times, they trade very, very well. And then we had AMD, which, by the way, it's amazing how this thing dropped here, got back towards the highs of the pre-market, stalled there for a minute, did not think it was going to do anything great. And look at this here, just took off and did some pretty nice move towards 75 there. I had Baba on my list, but it was atrocious yesterday. I mean, it was really, really bad. I expected with the pre-market that we had that it was going to be better, but every candle overlapping the previous candle, especially that first half hour or so, I lost total confidence after that on this one. And of course, Tesla, which again throwing volume all over the place, doing the same thing this morning. Also very difficult to trade. If you look at this chart here, guys, I mean, when you have the price action, popping up, slamming down, and then just kind of overlapping the previous candle on every move, it becomes very difficult to predict, what is the price looking to do next, right? This story here that this stock is writing is just horrible. Now, this stock moves so much. Can there be some scalping opportunities? Absolutely. If you're looking at a smaller time frame, if you trade it for 1 minute, there's definitely some opportunities here. But you have to be really quick. The pullbacks were, as usual, Tesla style, very, very aggressive. Right, so that's what we had. We had some other possibles on here, but for the most part, those are the main ones yesterday, at least of my list. Let's get to the market pulse. Norm, we got some stuff happening today that might affect the market.
Yeah, there was a ton of data that is dropping today. That having been said, as I mentioned, this is one of the worst trading days of the year. Just Generally low participation because people are traveling or off or whatever else ahead of Thanksgiving tomorrow. So 8:30 we had durable goods and core capital equipment orders. Sorry, that doesn't all fit on there. Durable goods came in a little bit better than expected. Core capital equipment orders, I believe the same. Initial jobless claims, there were 240,000 versus an estimate of 225, so a little bit higher, more jobless claims than expected. And then continuing claims continue to creep upward just a bit. 9:45, we've got S&P U.S. manufacturing PMI and services PMI. 10 a.m., the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, and also their 5-year inflation expectations, and new home sales at 10 a.m. as well. Then 2 p.m., the FOMC minutes will be released, as they always are, precisely 2 weeks after their meeting. I don't know how much we'll get from that, given it's toward the end of the day. As I mentioned, low participation due to the holiday. And there were 16 Fed speeches last week. Some speakers spoke more than once, but in total, there were 16 speeches. Those minutes usually are used to kind of give an idea of what the people are thinking as they're discussing rate policy in their closed door meeting 2 weeks prior, which, then goes to the monetary policy that they talk about, and the rates, quantitative easing, tightening, all that kind of stuff. With them having spoken so much in the last couple of weeks, I don't know what we're going to learn that might be different than what's already been said. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how this is going to affect the market, especially on a day like today. All right, let's get to it, guys. Let's get to our gappers list this morning, and let's see what we have going on here. I'm going to go ahead and remove everything from yesterday, Control A, Control X. Guess that done for us here on Trade Ideas. And we'll look at the first one this morning. Oh, this one popped up here. Grinder, GRND. We had some fun with this yesterday. This is...
You did.
Well, I didn't know. I thought it was a regular app, but it's a gay app. Is that correct?
Yes,
too?
it's
Okay.
It's a gay dating app.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I was when I was making my comments, I did not know that, so I was making comments based on it being, for gay and straight as well. All right, so here we go, guys. Grinders up 10% this morning, 117,000 right now. So it's got some movement. It did okay yesterday, right? Popped up and then sold off. But I don't know, man. This is recent IPO, right? Yeah, recent IPO. I'm not a fan of what it's doing as far as volume. So you just got to be very careful with this thing.
Yeah.
And,
Lower float, 20 million shares.
and look at this IPOs, man. The breakout, this thing opened up, at least market open at 1691, pops up to 70. I mean, what is going on? And then now we're back at 13.
Yeah.
It's just madness. And this is not the first IPO to do this. Recently, I want to say like the last year or so, we've been seeing this more often than not on these IPOs. So be very careful, guys. I'm sure there's people here crying right now that they are stuck here at 60, 55 if they didn't get wiped out. So just very, very careful. All right. Let's take a look at the next one here. Man U.
Manchester United Football Club.
Yeah.
They announced yesterday that they are exploring a possible sale. Popped hard on that. They hit some halts. So,
yeah. So again, not a great intraday trading ticker based on what I'm seeing here. But again, big pop yesterday. So I don't know if this gonna do anything today. Might be the day, but I'm hesitant to put this on my list, guys. Big day yesterday. I'm on the fence. Let's see. Put us a possible. Let's see. We don't have a lot to look at today, so maybe this one could be a good one for this morning. Carvana managed to stay above $6 here. It looks like so they are up 6.8 for the time being. Yes, don't hold us to that number. That could drop very quickly. 531,000 shares traded. Again, at this price range, guys, it wasn't a great trader before.
Yeah,
at this range, it's horrible. I mean, for me, I'm not a big fan of it. It is going to be in play, I think, for the coming weeks, as it's just everything around it seems negative, heavily shorted. What's the short on this? 40% right now, could be higher, as more news keeps coming out. So again, just be very careful. Danny says, "No, I don't do anything on the below $10," and I get that 100%. 100%.
Agreed.
Under $10 is, and even then, 10 is still
10
pretty
is,
low.
I don't even like stuff under
Yeah.
50, but
Yeah, I agree.
That's
There
me.
are some 30-20s that do very well. But yeah, I'm with you, Norm. I'm with you. All right, like Neo. Neo's probably the only one that's like around that 20 that can do very well. Qure. So for that reason, guys, I'm not gonna add it on there for me personally, but I know it's gonna be in play. You might get tons of volume on this thing. So if you like it, you can definitely watch it. Qure this morning, not looking great. Had a decent day yesterday
the
from
Dutch biotech, I would just run.
Oh, yeah, it's just not good, not good. Mara, Coin and Mara are on our list this morning. I prefer to watch Coin if I am going to watch one of these. Coin seems to get better volume at times and just better overall action. They're quiet right now. They're up 2.5, given the beatdown they've been taking with everything going on in the coin area. But yeah, I just don't see anything great on this one, on both of these actually. Now we have JD and Baba, which are the only two Chinese tickers, I believe, on this list. Baba looks interesting. JD, not so much. The volume is much lighter. I prefer to trade Baba, so I'll add Baba to my list today. I like their daily, right? Their daily, although as you know, not the best daily compared to anything else like AMD, Nvidia, and Apple, and all the greats. But here, you kind of see some type of bounce or pattern, at least trying to get above 80 if we can do that. So let's put Baba on deck here. Volume is not bad. It's actually pretty decent. 576,000 up 2.8. Yeah, I like this one for today. Billy's making an appearance, another Chinese ticker, light volume. We'll give that a little bit more time to develop as we move forward. JWN. So this is Nordstrom, and we know it doesn't trade very well. Earnings, Norm, I assume?
Yeah, they had earnings.
Let me change this color. We
They're
see this
stuck
4
with
times a year.
They've got some. They're having problems like many retailers.
Yeah,
So.
nothing new when it comes to that, right? And again, another ticker that we see a few times a year, only with earnings or if there's any major retail news. Not a great trader. I won't be having this on my list today. Here's PBR.
The rest of your list is oil.
Oh yeah, I see that. I didn't even look down.
MRO, Oxy, oil, Devon, DVN, nat gas.
Yeah, all down today.
Oil's down over 3% this morning. There's some stuff going on about caps and stuff having to do with the Ukraine war and all that going on in Europe. So,
yeah. Oxy, out of all of these guys, Oxy's my favorite. PBR, it was so brutal yesterday. I don't have plans to put it on my list. It was a great long if you're patient here. But the whole entire price action between here and here was just brutal. So I'm glad I hopped out of that thing. Here right now, Oxy looks decent. So we'll watch that one. Had a good day. Here we go. Had a good day yesterday. Giving some back, obviously down 2% with the rest of the tickers in that area. So in that arena. All right, let's take a look, guys, at what you guys like today. Norm, what's on deck for you this morning?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll even trade today. I've got work to do.
It's not looking good.
I know today is going to be terrible. I'd rather be productive than trade garbage. Who knows? If Tesla's in play.
Yeah.
Tesla's has always been in play recently. They did apparently there's 1.6 million orders for the Cybertruck. As somebody that thinks it's the most ridiculous looking vehicle ever produced, it's kind of scary to think that many on the roads that we'll have to look at. But yeah, there's that. So, I mean, it's up on that. They got an upgrade this morning out of Citigroup. They moved their they did have a sell rating. They've moved that to neutral, increased their price target to 176 from 141. And they're talking about Musk saying the next gigafactory could be in South Korea. So they've got catalyst. We knew, people have been talking about this going to 150 or whatever. It's got a decent bounce on it this morning. Has been giving some of that up once it hit the wall at 175. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Definitely been playing great volume this morning. I mean, the better looking ticker so far today. All right, let's take it to the chat, guys, and see what you guys have today. Let's go ahead and look at, we'll start with Ben. Ben, NVIDIA. Let's see what's happening with NVIDIA today. NVIDIA at the moment, we're up nice, well, slightly, but now we're coming back down. So kind of break even at the moment, or at least flat. Their daily looks very, very nice. I just don't know if today they're going to get the push they need to get a nice move out of this one. But I do like their daily here, especially above 150. Right, so we broke out of 150 pretty nice there, right here, and then we've been trading very well after that, so above that at least. So yeah, I like NVIDIA. We'll put that one on deck. That is good. Let's take a look at AMD and see what AMD is up to today. Oop, that's not AMD, and I'm thinking about NVIDIA. AMD, similar daily as well. You could watch either one of these. Again, today's going to be a day where you can put your usual suspects on here and see if anything good comes out of that. Anthony over on YouTube is giving us Dow. Anything good on Dow? They usually don't trade well. Well, yeah, they're pretty quiet. They had I'm assuming earnings, 12 million shares traded yesterday. And that's, then it comes right back down before that. So I don't think today you're going to get anything great. I think yesterday was their day. Today just kind of go back to regular volume for the most part, unless some news breaks out from anything that they discuss in meetings or whatever the case may be. But I just don't think today this thing is going to be in play. Let's take a look at NEO. We do have Amazon next. I should have that on my list as well. NEO's volume and price action here has been pretty bad. So in this range, we haven't really done much, right? And we're seeing that here, volume slightly lower than what it has been when we're dropping here and making some bigger daily moves. So I don't think it's really in play unless we get some kind of news out of China. Because we have to remember, this thing was moving up and down drastically every time the government says, well, we're locking down, we're opening up, locking down, and all these other regulations, with Chinese tickers being delisted, not whatever, listed or not, that made a lot of movement for us. We're not hearing that now. So it is pretty quiet for NEO and those other ones. Let's take a look at Amazon, which has been really good. Yeah, pretty flat, guys, as well. Pretty flat, light volume compared to what they normally are doing. I'll wait for this to hit the scanners, right? I'll wait for that to hit the scanners. XLE is an ETF. I don't put them on my list. And Jerry spoke about this also earlier today. We do talk about ETFs. We do watch ETFs. I don't personally because I don't trade them. I prefer to trade physical, actual stocks. So I don't kind of trade the ETFs, but you can. And this is XLE is one of them. I believe it's 3 times leverage. A lot of these are. So they're going to give
XLE
you.
is not. No.
Oh, this one is not. No, this is
the energy sector spider ETF.
Yeah. So so you can always go here, guys, and check if it's 3 times leverage. You might see it there. Sometimes it's listed there. But yeah, you can trade this one. Obviously, energy is in play today. But me, I'd rather watch like an Oxy. I watch an Oxy play. All right, AMD, NVIDIA on deck, Jay. Semis are hot yesterday and closed near the highs for the day. Yeah, their daily looks good. The semis. I got AMD, I got NVIDIA here. These guys been hot. They had a nice bounce over the last couple of days, or weeks at least, right? So they've been pretty good to watch. Let's take it to our chat room. We have JWM. Yeah, I looked at this.
They had earnings. They're down. They've got good volume for them, but they trade terribly usually.
Yeah, they're pretty bad, guys. They're really bad as far as intraday action. So, and their volume is extremely light as well, even with news. Again, one ticker that we see 4 times a year, maybe 5 or 6 if there's any news. Outside of that, they're not really on our list. Apple's got some volume, 752,000, right? So you got some activity there. Pretty much, was flat for most part of this pre-market, moving now a little bit. That could be interesting. So yeah, Hector and Ross, Apple is good. Let's take a look at DE. I don't think DE is a great intraday trading stock. No,
it really isn't. They did have earnings, but yeah, it just doesn't trade.
Yeah, it's the volume, guys, is a problem. And we are momentum traders in a nutshell. You need that volume, big time. So, yeah. So I don't think I ever have traded DE just because the lack of volume and movement that you're going to get out of it. See Microsoft. Nice daily for a possible breakout. Can we get the juice to happen to make it happen today? You know, can we grind higher here? That'll be the thing. I'm not sure. But the daily looks very nice, very nice. Maybe not today, but definitely something to keep an eye on when it comes to a move. Zoom for a secondary type day. I mean, it was so bad yesterday. I don't think today you're gonna get anything. It was brutal, guys. I mean, this thing, even with news, you had the open at least. You did get a pop here. The issue with this is the pullbacks and how bad they were. So if you're entering here, let's say, I'll give you an example, right? You got a nice little move here. Maybe you missed this entry here, which is tough to do. You get above the VWAP, you get a nice pullback here. This to me, let me zoom in a little bit. I love to see this. This right here is great buying opportunity. See the buying pressure coming in. I'm going long here, possibly to get here. And the drop here goes from, it's like $1.50 drop on this candle. You know, it's very difficult to survive that type of pullback, right? And it kept doing that. And if overall, just the price movement was just nasty on Zoom. Given all that, again, today, might want to close this gap, right? It did well. Yes, it opened up, sold off towards the levels of support. Might want to close this gap. Could be an opportunity, but the volume right now is definitely not there. I'll tell you that much. All right, so far,
Hamish calling out CAT could be good DE earnings catalyst as a sympathy play. It very well could be. Caterpillar and Deere often move sympathy to each other. Just not a whole lot of volume, and I'm actually surprised. It's been negative this morning, and Deere's been up 3%. So could be.
Yeah, that could be interesting if they get some volume. Maybe there's a pop in there for them if they haven't moved much, right? So that could be interesting. This is, I know how you trade, so yeah, this, I see what you're looking at, this daily and everything else. So there's some opportunities, guys. Just gotta be patient. Zoom is brutal, holding for a break. Yeah, it is. It doesn't happen right away, and if you get stuck on a pullback, so the comment was Zoom is brutal if you're holding for a breakout. If you get stuck in a pullback, man, it's just it sucks. It sucks. AU, this is gold, so this is hot right now. Yeah, but I don't trade this specific ticker. Okay. All right, guys, we are set. Again, maybe some stuff will populate later as we get closer to 9:30. DVN. What happened to all our oil stuff? Is it popping up? Why? Oh, it just went away here.
That's just going to move on.
Yeah.
Geopolitical news for the most part.
Gotcha. So, all right, guys, let's take it over to our room, see what's coming up for the next 2 weeks as we get into our webinars and see what's happening at our community.
Yeah, first of all, just a reminder, markets are closed tomorrow. The room will be closed. The markets are open on Friday. They open at the normal time. They close at 1 p.m. Eastern instead of 4, so they close early on Friday. We don't have any webinars going on this week due to the Thanksgiving holiday. Everything kicks back into full gear, and we should have great trading starting Monday. It's usually how it works seasonally. 8 p.m. next Monday, we're back to onboarding and technology with Carlos. Be sure to check that out, especially if you're a newer trader, get a feel for BBT. Then on Tuesday, we've got Andrew. He's going to be doing the Come Into My Trading Room webinar. That's just a 30,000-foot overview of his trading, everything from his setup to how he finds stocks in play to how he trades. Then the following week, Carlos will be talking about developing an educational plan. We do some of these in December, kind of getting ready to prepare for the new year and getting the right mindset. You'll see kind of a trend, if you will, in the kinds of stuff we discuss here and there in December, especially in the psychology stuff. Speaking of, that's on Wednesdays. Next couple of weeks. So next Wednesday, Randy Howell talking about staying disciplined when taking losses. And then Dr. Kenneth Reed handling pressure the following week on December 7th. Thursdays, we usually have mentorship, 11 a.m. with John, 8 p.m. with Thor. They will be stuffing turkey into their face tomorrow, so no webinars. TradingTerminal.com. We are building this site out. Be sure to check it out. your one-stop shop for all your trading information, everything from scanners to calendars, earnings calendars, charting, and the replay simulator where you can practice, hone your trading skills 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for free. No, Jesse, I don't think I said that. I didn't mean to if I did. All right. If you'd like to come and check out the room, you can do so with a no obligation intro membership. Use the promo code PreMarket24. It'll get you a discount off the intro, which is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room, unless there's a holiday like tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. It's a one-time charge. It does not recur. And then also still have the Black Friday sale going on, of course, because Friday is Black Friday. Holidays 60 to get 60% off the Elite Annual membership and one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Kenneth Reed. Reminder, if you are a current Elite Annual member and you'd like to take care of this Black Friday price, you can lock it in. If you sign up for that, it will just add an additional 12 months onto your membership that you currently have, whenever that may be. No, you didn't, Megan.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Norm, for that. All right, guys, let's get to our list here and let's get some stuff ready to put some levels on here. So I'm looking at a BABA right now. BABA this morning up 2.8. Again, compared to everything else on this list, it looks decent alongside Tesla. I have Oxy as well on here, and this one is it's moving a lot with the overall sector there. Tesla, of course, great volume, 2.4 million. Seems like the only thing that's getting an insane volume this morning. We have Nvidia, our semis here, alongside AMD on our secondary, and then we have Apple as well. Which Apple is moving pretty nice right now. It looks like after 8, they turned on the burners here. We're getting some good volume and getting some movement. They're daily on a lot of these tech companies. If you look at their daily, I mean, they've been stuck in this range, or not stuck, just kind of anticipating what's the next move here. Are we heading back down? But if you look at this, you see the up and down here. And if you look at the SPY, it's going to be very similar because a lot of these, as you guys know, are not moving on their own technical or not technical, on the fundamental news. It's just the overall market. So, but again, still they have opportunities to become an amazing intraday trades and opportunities. We'll look at BABA. Let's see some of these levels at the moment. I'll keep the bottom ones look pretty good. 74.16, which actually became the close to the low of yesterday. We'll keep 71.30 stays the same, and also 67.91 stays right on there. Above that, we do have the high from 2 days ago. But our pre-market high is slightly lower. We're actually sitting right here around 78.70. So we'll put a level right on there. And then if we were to get above 2 days ago's high, we're looking at 80.35. So that is BABA for you. It's got okay volume, a decent pre-market activity. Let's see if we can get something out of this one. Here is Oxy, guys. Big day yesterday. Actually popped up pretty good. Today we're down 2.1. We're going to put the low of the pre-market at 71.02, and then you can see here at 73 you have a nice level there that has been respected over the time here on this daily, at least 73 being an important level for you there. Pre-market high is slightly above that, but I don't think it's going to be important as that previous day close over at 72.77. Either way, let's mark it down 73.19. We'll throw that on there as well. Above that, very straightforward level here at 74.31, and obviously all the way up here at 75.82, you have another level as well. All right, so that's what we have there. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla right now, let's remove some of these older levels, clean this up a little bit. Towards the bottom, good support there. I don't know about good support, but bouncing from, because I don't know how low this thing can get, bouncing from 170, 160, actually 165-ish. So that's good there. Today, our high of our pre-market's over at 175.14, and then above this, you do have a couple of levels here, 183, and then you have another one right on here too, 191. So does not seem likely given all the negative things around Tesla and just the overall sentiment on this stock. But you got your level set just in case. And also, I don't think today you're gonna get it. There's got to be some insane type of catalyst that has to come out today for things to move aggressively, and I don't see it. But our job is to make ourselves available for what the market has to give, and that's what we're doing today. So again, don't be surprised if things are not as great, but you're here ready to take advantage if there's something does show up. 157.62, guys, good level towards the bottom there. Then you're surrounded by the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days for Nvidia. And then over the top, we do have pre-market high 162.49, and then up here we do have 165.14 and 170.09. So plenty of levels there for Nvidia. Great daily. Good day yesterday. Is maintaining, right? We're in the green. We haven't dropped here. So that's a good sign for Nvidia if we can see some more strength here. Apple doing some stuff since 8 a.m. this morning, and still stuck right here between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. I think even where the price action is sitting at now, that is a place of a support and resistance, right? So if we look at this right on there, it might actually be actually 149.44. If you look at that, you can see across the board. Let's try to draw a line here if we can. You do have a couple of days opening, closing, slamming against that, and then this morning we're seeing some flirting action with this level as well. So Apple seems to like it. We'll definitely have it on here. And then I really think you don't need to add anything, guys. You have the bigger range from here all the way to here, previous day close. You might maybe want to add this higher range just in case, which actually is a little bit lower. It's going to be down at 152.22. And we all know, and Jairus has spoken about this before in the past as well, how much Apple likes this 150 level, right? And we're seeing that here as well across the board right there, 150. That being an area where Apple likes to hang around at, struggle with, bounce off, use as support. It's just a level that they love. So they might stick around here for a while if nothing else changes. That is our list, guys. Baba, Oxy, Tesla, Nvidia, and Apple. Secondary list this morning, we have AMD, which has a beautiful daily. We have Man U, which again, this could be a hit or miss. If I was watching this, we do have shares for sure. I mean, you guys know how I feel about stocks that aren't horrible like this one as far as intraday trading, right? This thing is barely trading any volume. You're sitting here for a couple of months doing nothing, and then now you're up, almost 10%. There's some selling action going to happen on this one, just like it did on ROST. You wake up and you see that, and it's very tempting not to take some stuff off the table there, or you get in a position short just because you feel like it's going to go back down to its normal trading range. So a lot that can happen there. But if I'm looking at this, which again, I'm kind of convincing myself to look at it today, I'll be looking for a short opportunity. Now, what that means, guys, doesn't mean you go in here and the market opens and you just go short. You still have to wait for an actual trade setup, right? So you have to look at your trade book and see if this is going to give you a 5-minute ORB with some volume, right? You're just not going to go, just short it because you think it's, going to come back down to 15. So be very careful with having that mindset. Carlos, if you think the trade bad for you, you will watch them play. I should watch them play. Yeah, I probably should. All right, what else we got, guys? So that's our list right now. We have a couple of minutes to answer any questions as we get into our trading day this morning over on YouTube. Thank you so much, guys, for all the support joining us every morning here. 99 likes so far. Let's break that 100 resistance level. If we could do that, that would be incredible. Danny, if they're this bad, Man U, it might be it might be great to short them now. Pre-market. They won't open in SSR. No, these guys are not going to open in SSR because you have to be down. These guys are up, right? They had a big day yesterday, so you actually have to sell off. I don't see these guys opening up in SSR, right? So if they were even in pre-market, right? Say the pre-market, do we have anything that's selling off? We don't have anything that's selling off big, hitting the filters there. Or the triggers. Yeah, so even in pre-market, if it's selling off at the market open, they'll turn on the SSR for the next 2 days or so. So yeah, I don't see anything. But again, we don't have those big moves today. Nothing's down. Nordstrom, no. The only thing that's down big this morning is Nordstrom, 8%, but that's not going to do that. All right, excellent. Carlos, what symbols are you shorting on your watch list? If I had to pick something to short, it'll be this one here. Man, you. I mean, it's again, but you can't go with that mindset. Vanilla Ice over there on YouTube. You got to be very careful. But if I have a bias on this one, it'll definitely be a short because I just don't think they're gonna hold this pop here. And I just think for the short period of time, there might be some profit taking that's going to take place. So you might come back down and test, maybe 1550, right? And if the catalyst is really strong, what usually happens is, right, if the catalyst, okay, they really mean it, and we're going to actually pop here on this catalyst, then you will get some profit taken, and then it'll come back to, the VWAP, and then it'll hit the high of the day or pre-market at that time. Then you get the run. And once you see that, then you got to be careful because that means the catalyst is strong, right? I mean, this thing is up 8%. It's not a huge pop. For them, it is, but overall, it's not a huge pop. Usually when things are up, 15, 20, you got to be very careful to short these really strong stocks, like Brian will say. And they also had a big day yesterday, right? So they're kind of extended here on the daily for sure. I mean, they were extended yesterday on the daily. So we'll see. And is this their all-time high? What is this? No, it's not. They've been higher before. This is their 52, or at least they're right borderline. Yeah, I think this is their 52-week high. So that could be significant as well. You're sure bias on Oxy? Well, yeah, Oxy has negative news, right? So Oxy overall, all these oil tickers have negative news right now. So um, it's this one is tough to have a bias, man, because we watch this quite enough to know that we see negative news come out and it goes the other way, right? So you got to be very, very careful with Oxy. I wouldn't have a bias on this one, but I agree. Everything around it, it's down right now. If you look at all the tickers that we talked about, MRO, what was the other ones? They were all here. They'll disappeared now. They're probably just right under 2%, right? Just got to be careful because we've seen this hit the brakes and go the other way plenty of times. So let's see what happens. But definitely in play, it's a lot of news around it. Pre-market activity, as you guys know, is not going to look great, but it can get better after the market open. Yesterday, they had an amazing pre-market activity. I mean, it was one of the best I've seen out of Oxy in a long time. When we have looked at this ticker, and that played out pretty decent, and especially in the later parts of the day, you had a nice continuation on Oxy. Why only 6 on your watch? Great question. I like to watch 6 tickers. I think that's the best number for me. And then on my secondary list could have, I could put 15 on there. It doesn't matter because I'm not going to be focused, on looking at that price action. 6 tickers is a comfortable number for me to actually be able to look at the price action and not miss anything or feel overwhelmed or feel, the more you watch, the less focus you're going to be on every single stock, right? I know traders that they'll watch 4 stocks. Megan watches 2 stocks, 1, right? But she's razor sharp focus on those 1 or 2 stocks. So, she can fine tune things better. There's traders that watch 20 stocks, right? Their style's a little bit different. I can't do that, especially when you're looking for a very quick play at the market open, like a 5-minute ORB. I can't watch 20 stocks. I can't watch, 10 stocks. It's just you're picking quality. I mean, quantity over quality at that point, as far as your decision making. All 20 stocks could be great. They all could be in play, but your decision making is going to take a hit on that bandwidth. There's no question about it. Unless you take the blue pill from Limitless, I don't think that it's possible. All right, here is Brian's list, and everybody else, all the moderators are coming in with their list. So let's get to that. As we get this day ready to rock and roll. Norm, have you seen anything that has piqued your interest, or no way?
No. I mean, Tesla is about the only thing I see that looks decent.
Yeah. All right, we're going to bring this here. It's a great day for scanners, guys. It really is. There might be something that pops out of it that maybe was not on our list. So head over to tradingterminal.com. You're going to have scanners available for you. Something might come up there that That's not doing anything now, so it'd be a great day for that. And also, I don't have much on my secondary list, pretty quiet. But if I had a big secondary list, the scanners would be great because then if I see something on my secondary list that hits the scanners, that tells me that I liked this before. Now we got the volume. It's a good opportunity that I might like that ticker, what it's doing at least at the moment. All right, let's start. As I mentioned, here we go. Megan's watching 2 tickers, AMD and Amazon today. Joel is just here, pushed again. Peter will be looking at AMD, Apple, Tesla, Amazon on his secondary list, Meta, and to be determined if anything else comes up there. Jared looking at AMD and Nvidia. The semis are in place today. Both of those had a good day yesterday. Not crazy active this morning, but their day looks pretty good. Tesla, Manu, secondary list, Meta, Grinder, and energy stocks for today. And Brian will be looking at Tesla, Baba, UNG, and the scanners, which again, I cannot agree more about keeping an eye on these scanners, guys. All right, guys, that is what we have.
So I was typing it, but I'll just answer it. Being asked on YouTube, what do I think about the FOMC minutes coming out later today? I mentioned it earlier. I'll say the same thing again. I think there won't be a whole lot. There were 16 Fed speeches last week alone. I don't know what the minutes can really say that hasn't already been said. Usually people use those as a gauge to kind of get in the head of the members of the FOMC to get a feel of what policy, where policy will be going. I don't know how much it's going to disclose that those people haven't already said in speeches. So,
yeah, agree 100%. All right, guys, we are all set. Brian and Andrew coming up next to trade live here in the chat room over on YouTube, guys. Thank you so much. 139 likes. Appreciate that. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe even better so you can join us again when we come back on Friday. Tomorrow, market is closed, so we are closed. And then Friday is going to be a half day as well. So that'll be interesting to see what's going to be showing up there. So enjoy your Thanksgiving already, man. Just saying it's like, what? Just started this year. So enjoy your Thanksgiving, Black Friday shopping if you do that.
Let's get through this year as fast as we can, dude.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Please end it.
Oh man.
I don't know that 2023 is going to be any better, but
yeah,
we can hope.
We can hope, exactly. We can hope it is, at least for our economy and everything else. So yeah, guys, enjoy Thanksgiving with the family and friends. Definitely remember, today is, guys, Norm might not trade today. I might not trade today. It's just that type of watch list, and that's okay. You're here, available for the market. Don't force anything. The market's going to be great on Monday next week, right? We hope. We usually see that, right? Normally that's kind of like the holidays actually do get great trading. So don't burn yourself out. Don't make mistakes this week when things are not great that you are going to regret coming into next week. So just be mindful of that. Guys, trade safe.
FOMC, there is no speaking at 2:30. That's when they release policy, not the minutes. The minutes are just a written statement of what took place in the meetings.
Yeah.
Not a fan, Jay.
Yes. Guys, trade safe. We'll see you guys on Friday. Remember, we're closed tomorrow. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Take care, guys. Trade safe. Have a great Thanksgiving. See you Friday.